Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Vasuki. I have secured AIR-1 in the ICAR PG Entrance Horticulture 2024. Currently, I am pursuing MSc Floriculture and Landscaping from IRA New Delhi. Today, I am here to discuss some of the most expected questions to be asked for the ICAR PG Entrance Horticulture from Plantation, Spices, Medicinal Aromatic Crops and Post-Harvest Technology. Without further delay, we'll go to the video. Here comes the first question for our today's video. Chlorophytum is used as medicinal plant under the name. When it comes to medicinal plant part, the important portion you need to study is botanical name of the crop, then the common name, then the economic part that is used and for which medicinal purpose it is used. That are the important points to be covered when it comes to medicinal plant. Here the question here is botanical name has been given and it is commonly used under what name, that is its common name is asked. The answer for this question is Safed muesli. That is the botanical name of Safed muesli is Chlorophytum species. Hope you have all heard about the term Safed muesli. I think we'll learn about more in the next slide. Yes, this is the crop Safed muesli. It belongs to the family Liliaceae. Therefore, it is a succulent and it has its origin from Africa. As I mentioned earlier, the botanical name of Safed muesli is Chlorophytum borevillianum. And when it comes to medicinal plants, the important point you need to study is economic part. Which part is used as provides economic value to us? In Safed muesli, the economic part is dried powder roots. These dried powder roots of Safed muesli is used in Ayurvedic and Unani medicine. It is used to treat urinary infections. We'll go to the next question. Yes. As I mentioned earlier, the important points to be studied in this part is their botanical name, common name, economic part used and their medicinal value. Here a botanical name is given, Garcinia indica. It is a scientific name of which of the following crop? The answer for this question is Cocum. Hope you all have heard of this term, Cocum. We'll learn about more in the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned, Cocum is a medicinal plant belonging to the family Clusiaceae. Clusiaceae also includes another important crop, that is mangosteen. It is similar to mangosteen appearance. Cocum fruit is similar to mangosteen appearance and it belongs to the family Clusiaceae. It has a chromosome number of 2n equal to 54 and it has its origin in Western Ghats, that is it is of Indian origin. And the important point here comes. The point, the economic part of Cocum is its fruit, its rind, that is this outer region. This outer region is known as rind, and its fruit and its seeds. All are utilized in making various products like beverages, cosmetics and traditional medicine. This is the fruit juice made out of Cocum and this is the dried rind of Cocum. It is used in various beverages and cosmetics. Then about the options given in the question, vanilla is a vanilla botanically known as Vanilla planifolia, belongs to the family Orchidaceae. Aniseed botanically Pimpinella anisum, belong to the family Apiaceae. These are the important things to be studied when it comes to medicinal plants. We'll go to the next question. Okay. Highest edible oil yielding crop among perennial crops is? Here, seeing the options given below, soya bean and groundnut or annual crops. Therefore, here the question asked is highest edible oil yielding crop among perennials. Therefore, as these two belong to the annual group, these two are eliminated and the options left with us is coconut and oil palm. Therefore, among both these two, which yields highest edible oil? The answer for this question is oil palm. Yes, as I mentioned, oil palm, also known as teltat, is the highest and cheapest oil yielding crop among perennial oil yielding crops. That is, it yields more oil than coconut. Here I have given a table. It was taken from a research article. The yield of oil from oil palm is 4 tonnes per hectare per year. In 1 year, we can obtain 4 tonnes of oil from 1 hectare of oil palm, whereas in coconut it is only 1.12. It is almost 4 times in oil palm. Therefore, oil palm serves as the highest and cheapest oil yielding source. Oil palm is comparatively cheap when compared to coconut. This is the important point to be noted here. And also refer this table, it is important. The yield of oil palm is 4 tons per hectare, whereas coconut it is 1.21 tons per hectare. We'll go to the next question. Largest producer of coconut: Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia and India. Answer to this question is Indonesia. Let me explain you more clear in the next slide. Yes, the largest producer of coconut globally is Indonesia. That is, it produces 17.97 million metric tons of coconut. According to the recent data in 2025, Indonesia is the world's largest producer of coconut, followed by Philippines and India. That is, the first largest producer of coconut is Indonesia, next comes Philippines and next comes India. The important point to be noted here is Philippines was previously the top producer. If you see old data, the largest producer of coconut was Philippines and it has been recently replaced by Indonesia. This is the importance why you should refer recent data. In 2020, in recent years only, Indonesia has taken the first place. Earlier it was Philippines. Indonesia has since taken the lead recently, but even though Indonesia is the largest producer, Philippines leads in the world area, that is 36.6%, followed by Indonesia and India. The important point to be noted here is when it comes to largest producer in terms of yield and metric tons, the largest producer is Indonesia, whereas where it comes to largest area occupied, it is Philippines. It occupies 36.6% of the total area. This is the important point to be noted here. Make note of it. We'll go to the next question. Rajendra Sonia is important cultivar of turmeric, fenugreek, coriander. None. The answer for this question is coriander. Let me explain it to you more in the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned, Rajendra Sonia is a cultivar of coriander released from RPCAU Pusa, Bihar, and it is developed by selection method. The important speciality of this variety is it is resistant to wilt, aphid, weevil, and it is also tolerant to fruit fly. Then apart from Rajendra Sonia, there are two other important varieties of coriander to be noted. They are Rajendra Swati and Arka Isha. Arka Isha is an important variety of coriander released from IIHR Bangalore. Please make note of it. It is important. We'll go to the next question. Chemical present in sweet flag. Sweet flag is a crop from which a chemical or alkaloid is isolated and is used for medicinal purpose. What is the chemical isolated? That's the question here. Picrocrosin, acorin, carvone, anethole. For this, you need to be aware of botanical name of sweet flag is Acorus calamus. Therefore, if you are aware of the botanical name, you should have chosen the option acorin, because the name acorin has been derived from its botanical name Acorus calamus. We'll go to the let me explain you a bit more clearly in the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the botanical name of sweet flag is Acorus calamus, and from this word is the name acorin has been derived, and it is commonly known as beccanth, and it is aquatic perennial herb. Here you can see it grows in aquatic region. It's aquatic perennial herb, and the economic part is rhizome. This is the rhizome of sweet flag, and this is the dried rhizome. It is used in commercial form. Then the alkaloid present is acorin. We'll go to the next question. Okay. Indian basil belongs to which family? Apiaceae, Malvaceae, Cannabinaceae, Lamiaceae. The answer for this question is Lamiaceae. Indian basil is commonly known as holy basil or tulsi. Hope you all are aware of it. It belongs to the family Lamiaceae. Yes, as I mentioned, the botanical name of Indian basil is Ocimum. It belongs to the family Lamiaceae, and it has its origin from Africa, and it has a 2n chromosome number of 32 and 48. It is sometimes present in diploid form also and triploid form also. So, the chromosome number varies among species. We will go to the next question. Percentage of oil found in dried copra. Hope you all know what is copra. Copra is nothing but the dried kernel part of coconut from which coconut oil is extracted. The normal coconut oil we use in our kitchen is extracted from dried copra, whereas virgin coconut oil is extracted from coconut milk. Hope you all are aware of the difference. Okay, now we'll go to the question. Percentage of oil found in dried copra. 60 to 65, 65 to 70, 70 to 75, 75 to 80%. The answer for this question is 65 to 70%. Yes, as I mentioned, dried copra on crushing produces 65 to 70% of oil, and remaining 33 to 40% will be remained as oil cake. That's will be remained as oil cake. We'll go to the next question. Cashew is dash important agricultural commodity exported from India. As you all know, India is a country whose population is dependent mostly on agriculture, and India earns most of its export revenue from exporting agriculture produce. India exports various agricultural products to various countries. One of the important agricultural commodity exported is cashew. Among the various agricultural commodities exported, cashew occupies which position? That is the question here. Third position, second, first, or sixth? The answer for this question is sixth. I'll explain you in the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned, these are the top 10 agricultural commodities exported from India. India earns a huge amount of export revenue through this export. Among the top 10 agricultural commodities, basmati rice stands to be the first product that earns more revenue to India. Next to basmati rice comes rice other than basmati. Then comes pulses, wheat, tobacco, and the sixth place is occupied by cashew nut. Here the cashew nut includes both broken cashew nut and salted and other processed type of cashew nut. Then next to cashew nut comes sesame seeds, groundnut, vegetable oil, and other cereals. We'll go to the next question. Dash is the first step in the processing of tea. Hope you all are aware of the steps involved in processing of tea. Processing tea is the tea powder we use in our home is made from the tea leaves, that is the terminal two leaves along with the bud is used for preparation of tea powder. The plucked tea leaves undergo several steps of processing to get converted into the tea powder form we use in our kitchen. Among the various steps involved, which is the first step in tea processing? That's the question here. Harvesting, washing, weathering, curing. The answer for this question is weathering. Weathering is also known as wilting. This is the first step in tea processing. The main objective of weathering is to remove 15 to 20% of the moisture from the green leaves. This moisture is removed to avoid spoilage and make it suitable for next step of processing. Soon after picking, leaves lose excess water and start wilting with gradual onset. Enzymatic oxidation is done in the processing of tea before making it into the final product. We'll go to the next question. This question is also about tea. The finally made tea contains dash percentage of moisture. Here, the finally made tea refers to the final product of tea processing. The percentage of moisture found in the product after completion of tea processing is the question here. The answer for this question is 2.5 to 3. That is, the final product, the tea powder, contains 2.5 to 3% moisture. Then fermentation imparts color to tea. Tea provides a color to the milk. That color is imparted due to the process known as fermentation. That is, it undergoes fermentation and enzymatic oxidation. We'll go to the next question. MC43 and S404 are varieties of cumin, black pepper, ginger and fenugreek. The answer for this question is cumin. Here the letter C represents cumin. Hence MC43 and S404 are varieties of cumin released from Sardar Kushinagar Dantewada Agriculture University, Jagannath, Gujarat. We'll go to the next question. The diploid chromosome number of coriander. As I mentioned, when it comes to horticulture crops, you need to be thorough of the chromosome number, origin and scientific name of all crops. So the question here is, what is the chromosome number of coriander, diploid chromosome number of coriander? The answer for this question is 22. Coriander is also known as dhania. It is most heavily consumed herb. Hope you all know about it, I think. In coriander, both the fresh leaves and dried seeds in powder form is used. Hence, it got the name most heavily consumed herb. It is botanically known as Coriandrum sativum and it belongs to the family Apiaceae, and it has its origin from Mediterranean region. And the fruit type of coriander, this is schizocarp, that is it split opens into two upon dehiscence. That is the meaning to the term schizocarp, and it has a diploid chromosome number of 22. One of the special characteristics about coriander is it can tolerate salinity up to EC4. That is, it is a suitable crop to be grown in saline prone region. We'll go to the next question. Dash is the tapping technology in rubber. Ridley, Aripannai, Valupannai, Kaivetti. The answer for this question is Ridley. The tapping technology in rubber was invented by Ridley. Hence, it has been named after him. The latex produced in the bark tissue is harvested through this process. Hope you all know how the commercial rubber is made. The commercial rubber we use is prepared from the latex of the tree. See, here a cut is made on the bark of the tree. Then the collected latex is processed to transform into commercial rubber. As I mentioned, the latex produced in the bark tissue is harvested through this process. That is, the harvesting process of rubber from tree is known as Ridley. Then it is a controlled wounding process. Here the latex is collected by wounding the tree bark without causing much damage to the tree. Of the other options mentioned, Aripannai, Valupannai and Kaivetti are method of tapping but not in rubber. It is method of tapping of male inflorescence in Palmyra. Hope you are aware of the crop Palmyra, I think. Aripannai, Valupannai and Kaivetti are tapping method used in Palmyra, not rubber. In rubber, the tapping method used is Ridley. Don't get confused. We'll move to the next question. Tea mosquito bug is common pest of cashew, tea, coffee and rubber. It is an easy question, as then in the question itself it is mentioned. Tea mosquito bug is a common pest of tea. But when the option tea is not given, what will you choose? The answer, when tea is not given, we should choose cashew, because tea mosquito bug is a pest of tea, but it is also an important pest of cashew. As I mentioned, tea mosquito bug, scientifically known as Helopeltis theovora, is a common sucking pest of tea and cashew. It causes severe damage both in tea and cashew nut. Therefore, when in option tea is not given, you should choose cashew nut. Another major pest of tea is red coffee borer, scientifically Zizera coffeae. The important thing to be noted here is tea mosquito bug is a pest of both tea and cashew nut, and red coffee borer having coffee in its name is also a pest of tea. Don't get confused. There's chances of getting confused in this question. So be careful while reading. We'll go to the next question. The aroma of a ripe apple is due to ethylene, eugenol, valency, ethyl 2-methyl butyrate. Aroma in ripe apple is caused due to volatile organic is caused due to a volatile organic compound. Which is the compound? That's the question here. The answer for this question is ethyl 2-methyl butyrate. Yes, as I mentioned, the aromatic compound present in apple is hexanal, that is, it is present in green apple. Then the volatile compound present in apple is ethyl 2-methyl butyrate ripe, that is, it is present in ripe apple. Pentyl valerate is also present in apple. The aroma in apple is due to the presence of volatile organic compound. These are the volatile organic compounds of these. Ethyl 2-methyl butyrate is present in ripe apple. That's the question here. We'll go to the next question. Vapor heat treatment in mango is recommended against. Vapor heat treatment is a method to control a pest in mango. What is the pest? That's the question here. Fruit fly, stone weevil, both A and B, none of these. The answer for this question is stone weevil. That is, vapor heat treatment is used to control the population of stone weevil in mango. How will know? Yes, vapor heat treatment is done for stone weevil before transport to Japanese and Korean markets, while gamma irradiation of fruits is done for US market. That is, when the fruit is to be exported to Japanese and Korean market, it is given vapor heat treatment, whereas when the mango is exported for US market, it is treated with gamma irradiation. How does vapor heat treatment work? The mangoes are put into a chamber known as vapor heat treatment chamber. There the temperature is raised up to 50 degrees Celsius or more. The fruit core temperature is raised up to 47.5 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. This temperature rise kills the stone weevil, thereby causing less damage to the fruit crop. This is the damage caused by stone weevil. Here, this is the weevil. It feeds on the mango pulp and mango stone and causes severe damage to the mango, making it unsuitable for export. The scientific name of stone weevil is Sternochythus mangiferae. As I mentioned, it spends most of its life cycle inside the mango stone, that is the seed. The adult weevil lays eggs on the mango fruit pulp. Here, the adult weevil lays eggs onto the pulp. Then the larva comes out, then burrow into the pulp and feed on the seed, eventually pupating inside. Here the larva comes out from the egg and feeds on the pulp and seed and causes damage to the fruit, thereby making it not suitable for export. Therefore, to reduce the damage caused by stone weevil, vapor heat treatment is done before exporting it to the foreign countries. We'll go to the next question. Fruits with very low ethylene production. First of all, what is ethylene production? While storing fruit, the important parameter to be checked is ethylene production. Some of the fruits produce more amount of ethylene when stored, whereas some of the fruits produce less ethylene when stored. The problem with high ethylene producing fruits is they undergo rapid deterioration, therefore they can be stored for less time only, whereas when it comes to low ethylene producing fruits, the deterioration rate is low, therefore they can be stored for a long time. Therefore, the question here is, of the fruits crops given here, which has very low ethylene production, so that can be stored for a long period. To answer this type of question, you need to think of which of the fruit has high storage life. That is, higher the storage life, lower will be the ethylene production. If a fruit has low storage life, then it has high ethylene production. The answer for this question is grape. That is, grape has low ethylene production when compared to these crops. Yes, as I mentioned, of these crops given here, grape has the very low ethylene production, therefore it can be stored for a long period of time without getting spoiled. Next to grape comes apple. Apple has comparatively high ethylene production when compared to these. Then passion fruit and sapota both have a very high ethylene production, therefore they can be stored only for a short period of time. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following substance is used for neutralization of cream? Sodium bicarbonate, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, ammonium molybdate. The answer for this question is sodium bicarbonate. I'll explain it to you in the next slide. Neutralization of cream, a process to adjust acidity. It often uses chemicals like lime, sodium hydroxide or sodium bicarbonate. First of all, what is neutralization of cream? Neutralization of cream is nothing but the adjusting the pH of a cream to neutral value. It is done by adding salt like lime or sodium bicarbonate. It is done to reduce the acidity, thereby bringing neutrality to the cream. These bases are added to the cream to reduce its acidity, thereby bringing the pH to neutral level, which is crucial for butter making. We'll go to the next question. Minimum TSS of cordial should be. What is TSS? TSS is total soluble solid, that is amount of soluble solids present in the cordial refers to as TTS. Cordial, every food, beverage and food product has a certain standards that it should contain this amount of preservative, this amount of TSS and this amount of fruit part that has been standardized. So for cordial, in order to be considered a thing as a cordial, it should have a minimum percentage of TSS. Only then it will be considered as only then it will be labeled as cordial. What is that minimum TSS percentage? The answer for this question is 30%. As I mentioned, the minimum amount of TSS present in cordial is 30. Let us know more about TSS. TSS is nothing but the total soluble solid in fruit juice. It is measured using an instrument called refractometer and it is expressed in degree Brix. What is TSS? TSS, it represents the total amount of dissolved solids. That is, it represents the total amount of dissolved solids in a liquid, including sugar, acid and other compound. Why we need to measure TSS? It provides information about the sweetness of the fruit, which is an important factor in its quality and palatability. It is used in food industry to assess the ripeness of fruit, monitor the quality of fruit juices and control the production of processed fruit products like jams and preserve. We'll go to the next question. A fruit is said to be physiologically mature when it comes to fruit crops, it has two types of maturity. One is physiological maturity and another one is horticultural maturity. Therefore, when there's a fruit is said to be physiologically mature, that's the question here. When it attains maximum size, process prerequisite for utilization for particular purpose, continuous antogeny even after detachment, begins to ripe. The answer for this question is when it attains maximum size. That is, a crop is said to be physiologically mature when it attains its maximum size. As I mentioned, physiological maturity is the stage when the fruit is capable of further development or ripening when it is harvested. That is, even after harvesting, the fruit is able to develop physiologically, like ripening, but the maximum size is already attained. It is referred as maximum growth and maturation has occurred. That is the stage of physiological maturity. While horticultural maturity, also known as commercial maturity, is a stage at which the plant or fruit is ready for harvest based on its suitability for specific intended use such as consumption or processing. That is, horticultural maturity is assessed depending on the use for which the crop is harvested, whereas physiological maturity focuses on the plant's biological development, while horticultural maturity focuses on plant's suitability for human use. Therefore, physiological maturity is considered only with the plant's biological development, that is only with the plant's role, whereas it comes to horticultural maturity, the role of consumer preference plays a major role in determining the horticultural maturity. We'll go to the next question. A fruit impregnated with canned sugar then drained is dash. As we all know, fruits are highly perishable material and there is a need to store them for a long period. In that condition, fruits are preserved by immersing them in sugar. By doing this, they can be stored for a long period of time without the fear of spoilage. Therefore, the question here is fruit impregnated with canned sugar and then drained and dried is candy, jam, marmalade and jelly. The answer for this question is candy. I'll explain it to you in the next slide. As I mentioned, candy is nothing but the mature fruit or vegetable impregnated with canned sugar syrup and subsequently drained free of sugar syrup and dried. It is a method to store the fruits for long period and by avoid spoilage. Here, the physiology behind candy is dehydrating by osmotic pressure of sugar solution. That is osmotic dehydration with sugar. Here, the fruit is treated with sugar and the sugar causes dehydration of the fruit. Therefore, the excess moisture in the fruit is removed. Therefore, the moisture content is low. Therefore, the amount of spoilage and microbial growth has also become slow. Therefore, it can be stored for a long period of time. That is the physiology behind this candy preparation. Fruits suitable for candy making are ginger, ber, anola, pointed gourd, bottle gourd, ash gourd, citrus peel, caronda, cherry, carambola and cashew apple. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following is class 2 preservative? Preservatives plays an important role when it comes to food processing. There are two types of preservatives. One is class 1 preservative and another one is class 2 preservative. Of the options given below, which one is class 2 preservative? Benzoic acid, salt, dextrose and vinegar. The answer for this question is benzoic acid. As I mentioned, there are two classes of preservative, class 1 preservative and class 2 preservative. Class 1 preservative includes common salt, sugar, spices, vinegar, honey, wood smoke and vegetable oil, whereas class 2 preservatives include KMS, calcium sorbate and benzoic acid. We'll go to the next question. Preservative used in the preservation of tomato products. As we all know, various processed products has been made from tomato like sauce, juice, etc. Of the products made, which is the preservative used for preservation of tomato products? The options given here are benzoic acid, KMS, nitrites and sodium benzoate. The answer for this question is benzoic acid. Why benzoic acid is preferred for preservation of tomato products? Well, let us know in the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned, benzoic acid is a preservative used for preserving of tomato products. It kills or inhibits growth of microorganisms. Tomato products, colored juices, pulps, squashes and syrups are preserved by this chemical process because it does not bleach anthocyanin pigment. This is the important reason why benzoic acid is preferred as a preservative than any other preservatives in tomato products, because it does not bleach the anthocyanin pigment present in tomato. Therefore, it does not affect the color. This is the reason it is preferred for tomato products than any other preservatives. We'll go to the next question. During canning of fruits and vegetables, exhausting is done too. Exhausting is a step in the canning of fruits and vegetables. What is the reason behind exhausting? Why it is done? To sterilize, to kill microbes, to remove gas or softening of pulp. The answer for this question is to remove gas. That is, during canning, exhausting is done to remove excess of the gas present in the can. As I mentioned, exhausting in can refers to the process of removing air from the jars or cans before sealing and processing them. This is done to prevent the formation of vacuum that could cause the lids to bulk or cans to dent during heating, and to minimize oxygen exposure, which can degrade the food's quality and reduce its shelf life. Therefore, canning is done to prevent spoilage and maintain the structure of the can. Time for exhausting is about 6 to 10 minutes. Then it is done at a temperature of 79 degrees Celsius. We'll go to the next question. Organism used for preparation of vinegar: Bacillus thuringiensis, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Acidobacter aceti. One of these four options given below, one of the microorganism is used in the fermentation of vinegar. That organism is lactic acid bacteria, whereas Saccharomyces cerevisiae is used in the fermentation of wine and is obtained from the peel of grapes. As I mentioned, lactic acid bacteria is common in the fermentation juice of vinegar. Optimum temperature for activity of vinegar bacteria is 27 to 30 degrees Celsius, whereas Saccharomyces cerevisiae is used for fermentation of wine and the optimum temperature for the activity of the bacteria is 27 to 30 degrees Celsius. We'll go to the next question. BHT and BHAR. These are the two important products used in the food processing industry. What are they? Antioxidants, acidulants, humectants, artificial sweeteners. The answer for this question is antioxidants. BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, and BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, are both synthetic antioxidants used as food additives, preservatives in various other applications. They are used to prevent rancidity in foods, extend shelf life, and maintain the quality of the products susceptible to liquid oxidation. These are the antioxidants used in food preservation to avoid oxidation and increase their shelf life. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following vegetable has extremely high respiration rate? As we saw in the questions earlier, a vegetable having extremely high respiration rate will have less storage life, and a vegetable having low respiration rate will have high storage period. Therefore, the question is, which of the following vegetable has extremely high respiration rate? Tomato, green pea, cucumber, potato. Of the options given below, comparatively which has high respiration rate? The answer for this question is green pea. As I mentioned, green pea has a very high respiration rate, therefore it could be stored for only a very less period of time. Then comparing to this, tomato has a moderate respiration rate and cucumber and potato have low respiration rate, which means they can be stored for a long period of time without getting spoiled. We'll go to the next question. Sugar resistant microorganisms are. As I mentioned in the previous slide, adding sugar to the fruit is a method of preservation that causes osmotic dehydration, thereby reducing the water content of the fruit and reducing the chances of getting spoiled. That is the reason why sugar is used to preserve fruits. But there are some organisms that can grow in sugar condition also, that are known as, there is a specific term for these sugar resistant microorganisms that are capable of growing in condition that has high sugar content also. The term for that organisms is thermophilic, psychrophilic, osmophilic, or halophilic. The answer for this question is, that is, sugar resistant microorganisms are called osmophilic microorganisms. As I mentioned, sugar resistant microorganisms are osmophilic. They are tolerant to environments with high sugar concentration, which would typically inhibit the growth of other microorganisms due to the osmotic pressure exerted by the sugar. As I mentioned earlier, presence of sugar will reduce the chances of microbial growth because all organisms cannot survive in the sugar environment because of the osmotic pressure exerted by the sugar. But this osmophilic organisms are exception to this condition. They can grow in an environment that is rich in sugar also. We'll go to the next question. Lime juice based RTS beverage has fruit part percentage. How much? 5, 10, 25, 20. As I mentioned earlier, there has been a certain standards has been set for each beverage like RTS, cordial, etc., that it should contain this amount of fruit pulp, this amount of TSS, this amount of sugar, and this amount of preservative to be labeled them as the RTS or cordial, etc. According to the standard, lime based RTS beverage has dash percentage of fruit part. The answer for this question is 10. As I mentioned, this is the standard for RTS. RTS, that is ready to serve beverage, should contain 10% of fruit juice, 10% TSS, 0.3% acidity, and the preservative present in it should be 70 ppm when it comes to SO2 or 120 ppm benzoic acid. These are the standards set for RTS. to be considered as ready to serve beverage. Okay, here comes the end of this video. Hope it would have been useful to you. This is the last part of the most expected question series from the horticulture video. If you have any doubts regarding this part, you can let us know in the comment section. We'll reply for the comments. If you're preparing for JRF horticulture, there is a mock test series available from us. You can avail it at 499 rupees. And you also get the addition of 100 rupees offer, and you make use of the link below to get the offer. Also, if you have any doubt regarding the JRF preparation, please let us know in the comment section. We'll make it clear. Thank you.